A short time later, however, a strange thing happened. We received a statement signed by Professor Simmons and signed by two other professors who were acting directors while she was on sabbatical. And it seemed to reverse course 180 degrees. It said the following: over the past several days, we have heard from several members of the public and of the Harvard community who object to the statements of Martin Kramer at a recent conference. Accusations have been made that Martin Kramer's statements are genocidal. These accusations are baseless. Kramer's statements express dismay with the policy of agencies that provide aid to Palestinian refugees and that tie aid entitlements to the size of refugee families. Kramer argues that this policy encourages population growth among refugee communities. While these views may be controversial, there is no way they can be regarded as genocidal. These are Harvard professors. I don't know if they had actually bothered to read Kramer's statements or the Genocide Convention, nevertheless. And then they go on to say, those who have called upon the Weatherhead Center to dissociate itself from Kramer's views or to end Kramer's affiliation with the center appear not to understand the role of controversy in an academic setting. In other words, we are the problem. It would be inappropriate for the Weatherhead Center to pass judgment on the personal political views of any of its affiliates. That came after they had defended his statements, attacked people criticizing them, and said that the views of those criticizing them were baseless. They informed us that it's not their position to pass judgment on the opinions of their affiliates. I had written in my letter to Professor Simmons, I wonder how long Mr. Kramer's views would be tolerated if, all other things being equal, he were an Arab scholar who had called for Jews to be placed in a giant sealed enclosure which virtually no one is allowed to leave or enter, and deprived of food and schooling for their children in order to reduce their birth rate. What's so interesting about this, it didn't really shock me, was how the reaction from the Harvard professors was devoid of any context. I mean, it was very similar in a way to the sort of racist discussions you have in this country about welfare. And about how welfare is something that, you know, encourages indolence and laziness and dependency among certain groups. People in Gaza are not on welfare. They're in a prison. And when we went to Gaza, and how many people in this room went on the Gaza Freedom March or have tried to go to Gaza on other occasions? I see quite a few hands, probably. How many of you got to Gaza? That's quite a few hands. But on the Gaza Freedom March, we didn't get to Gaza. And something struck me. A week ago, I was in Houston, and I met a young man studying at the university there whose family is from Gaza. And we were talking about the Gaza Freedom March and how he had tried to go to Gaza himself in the summer and hadn't succeeded. And his mother had tried to go to see her mother, his grandmother, and had managed to get permission to go for 24 hours. The Egyptians would let her in, provided she came out in 24 hours. And she had not seen her mother, who was advanced in years, for 11 years. And now she was going in to see her for 24 hours. And it just struck me at that moment, if you can try to imagine the emotions that you would go through in that situation, not just when you go in and you see your family or your parent for the first time in 11 years, but then having to leave after 24 hours. Would you even sleep for a minute while you were there? Could you even afford to sleep for a moment in those 24 hours? And it struck me that if this young man's grandmother had been convicted of murder and were in a maximum security prison, it would be easier to visit her than it is when she is simply a refugee in the Gaza Strip. And this is the situation of 1.5 million people in Gaza. They are prisoners, and they're innocent of any crime, and they're prisoners because they're Palestinians, and they're prisoners because Palestinians as a society resist and refuse to submit. Therefore, they are political prisoners. So Gaza is the world's largest maximum security political prison, more secure than any prison in the world. Now, when you think about what happened in Gaza, and I want you to keep Martin Kramer's comments in mind as background. What happened during the bombing, during Operation Cast Lead, many of you will be familiar. You'll have heard other people talk about it. You'll have read articles. It's impossible to kind of ever really capture the enormity of what happened when earthquake Israel struck the Gaza Strip, an earthquake that lasted 22 days. We're here in a school named after Martin Luther King. And we went on the Gaza Freedom March in the spirit of Martin Luther King, in the spirit that President Obama, when he went to Cairo last June, appealed to people, appealed to them to remember the civil rights movement, appealed to Palestinians to remember the civil rights movement. And so we went in that spirit, and we found no assistance from our government. Barbara and I were among several dozen people held hostage at the United States Embassy in Cairo for trying to visit the embassy and ask our government officials to assist us to complete this march to Gaza, to march in solidarity with people in Gaza, with them and next to them, and commemorating the massacre. The schools in Gaza, there are 640 schools in Gaza. During Israel's bombing, 18 of them were completely destroyed and 280 were damaged. The agriculture in Gaza has been systematically destroyed. Gaza had very fertile agriculture for a very small territory, produced over 400,000 tons of fruit, of vegetables, of cut flowers per year. Approximately 1/3 of that was exported. Today, exports are zero. Israel doesn't allow anything out. Almost half of the land, 46% of the land, is out of use. It's out of use because of the systematic destruction by Israel during Operation Cast Lead and before and after, continuing, of irrigation pumps, of irrigation systems, the declaration of basically a free fire zone all the way along the border, so that a declared free fire zone of about 300 meters, but an actual de facto free fire zone of 1 to 2 kilometers. And remember, the Gaza Strip itself is only a few miles wide. So a significant part of the territory is too dangerous for Palestinians to enter.